In 1984, director Miloš Forman embarked on an almost impossible mission to film a Hollywood epic about the life of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, not in the comfortable studios of California, but behind the Iron Curtain in the communist Prague of the Cold War. The result was Amadeus, a cinematic titan that swept the Oscars and redefined the period drama forever. But the story the world didn't see, the one that unfolded in the shadows of Baroque palaces and historic theaters, was in many ways just as compelling and dramatic as the one that appeared on screen. Tonight, we are not counting down secrets in a simple list. We are reconstructing the chronicle of a legendary and dangerous production. This is the story of how the making of Amadeus was a perfect storm of obsessive passion, dangerous authenticity, and very real human conflict. We will discover how the on-screen rivalry between Mozart and Salieri spilled over, creating a genuine and palpable tension between the actors. We will explore the incredibly risky decisions that nearly burned down a historic landmark, and the last-minute crises that forced a main character to be recast overnight. This is the symphony of chaos that forged one of the greatest masterpieces in cinema. Every great project begins with the singular vision of its director, and Miloš Forman's vision for Amadeus was bold, uncompromising, and completely obsessive. Having escaped from communist Czechoslovakia himself years earlier, Forman was determined to imbue the film with a sense of raw realism, stripped of the starchiness and rigidity that often plagued Hollywood period dramas. This almost fanatical search for truth dictated every crucial production decision. Beginning with the casting, Forman made a highly controversial decision that enraged the Hollywood studios. He flatly refused to hire big movie stars. The role of Mozart seemed destined by right for Mark Hamill, who, fresh off his stratospheric success as Luke Skywalker, had played Mozart to great success and acclaim in the original Broadway stage production. He seemed like the obvious choice, but Forman rejected him without even granting an audition. His reasoning, which now seems prophetic in our era of endless franchises, was that Skywalker's lightsaber cast too long a shadow. He felt the audience would be unable to see Mozart. They would only see Luke Skywalker, the Jedi hero. The same logic was applied to other massive stars who were considered like Mel Gibson or even the rock legend Mick Jagger. Forman wanted actors whose faces were not a distraction, allowing the audience to be fully immersed in 18th century Vienna. Instead, he chose the relatively unknown Tom Hulce and F. Murray Abraham, two highly respected American theater actors but without the baggage of movie stardom. This decision was intrinsically linked to his other non-negotiable demand: to film in his native Prague. The city, which had been largely untouched by modern development, was a visually perfect stand-in for Mozart's Vienna. However, filming a massive American production in a communist bloc country in 1983 was a logistical and political nightmare. The crew was constantly monitored by the Czech secret police, and Forman himself, with his past as a dissident of the regime, was under particular and paranoid scrutiny. But for him, the monumental risk was worth it. He wanted to capture the real atmosphere, the real cobblestone streets, the real dusty golden light. This obsession with authenticity would lay the foundation for the film's visual and emotional genius, but also for the danger, conflict, and chaos that were about to be unleashed on set. The narrative engine that drives Amadeus is the toxic and fascinating dance of admiration and mortal jealousy between the childish, vulgar genius of Mozart and the pious, hard-working, and mediocre Salieri. It is one of the most complex and nuanced depictions of rivalry in the history of cinema. But what is truly astonishing and elevates the film to another level is that this on-screen tension was not just brilliant acting. It spilled over from fiction into reality, creating a genuine, palpable, and deeply uncomfortable antagonism between the two lead actors, a tension that director Miloš Forman seems to have actively encouraged. F. Murray Abraham, who delivered a performance that would earn him the Best Actor Oscar for his role as Salieri, admitted it himself in a revealing interview with the New York Times. The tension began almost immediately, centered on the actress originally cast to play Mozart's wife, Constanze, Meg Tilly, who was very close friends with Tom Hulce, Mozart. Abraham recalled with brutal honesty, "They had these secret jokes and were always laughing together in a corner. I was completely pushed out, and I was resentful. I began to have very nasty feelings that were exactly like Salieri's feelings toward Mozart. This incredible and almost miraculous psychological coincidence, where real life began to imitate art so perfectly, became an invaluable tool for his Oscar-winning performance. Miloš Forman, a known master of psychological manipulation on set to elicit more authentic performances, appears to have used this tension to his advantage. The most intense and dramatic scene in the film is the one in which a delirious, dying Mozart dictates his magnificent requiem to a desperate and overwhelmed Salieri. To achieve a genuine reaction of frustration and confusion from Abraham, Tom Hulce would deliberately skip lines and change the rhythm of the musical dictation, purposefully confusing his co-star. Salieri's desperate cry of, "You're going too fast," was not just a line from the script. It was F. Murray Abraham's honest and frustrated reaction to his fellow actors' tactics. Forman was creating a crucible of conflict, a high-pressure environment where the raw emotions of the characters and the actors merged until they were indistinguishable. They weren't just performing a rivalry, they were living a version of it day after day, and that raw, Miloš Forman's obsessive search for truth not only created psychological conflict on set, but also put the entire production in very real and tangible physical danger. Two key incidents during the shoot demonstrate the incredible and almost insane risks the crew took in the name of uncompromising visual authenticity. The first, and most terrifying, was the decision to film the opulent and complex opera scenes using only natural and candlelight, just as it would have been in the 18th century. To achieve this, they used the crown jewel of Prague, the historic Estates Theatre, the same exquisitely preserved wooden building where Mozart himself had premiered his legendary opera Don Giovanni in 1787 to light this priceless and irreplaceable historic landmark. The crew did not use modern, safe electrical equipment. They filled this ancient, centuries-old wooden theatre with an uncountable number of open flames, massive chandeliers, candles in every corner, and dozens of braziers that burned for hours on end. Imagine the scene. A historic wooden building, surrounded by silk costumes, heavy velvet drapes, and bone-dry powdered wigs with real fire dancing on the walls. The film's art director, Patricia von Brandenstein, later admitted she had recurring nightmares about burning the place down, saying in an interview, "I thought God will truly punish me if this place catches on fire. Every flicker of candlelight we see in those magnificent scenes is a genuine flame, creating an atmosphere of authentic beauty and very, very real danger." The second disaster struck just before filming was set to begin, a crisis that almost completely derailed the entire production. The talented actress Meg Tilly had been cast in the crucial role of Mozart's vibrant wife, Constanze. She was already in Prague, had been through weeks of rehearsals, and was in full costume, ready to start shooting the next day. Then, disaster struck in the most mundane and absurd way possible. During a casual game of soccer with other cast members to pass the time in a local park, Tilly tore a ligament in her leg. It was a freak accident that threw the entire production into a state of absolute panic. They needed a new Constanze, and they needed her immediately. The actress Elizabeth Berridge was cast almost overnight, flown to Prague, and thrown onto the set with no time for chemistry tests with Hulce or extensive auditions. She was thrown directly into the deep end, but her performance was so natural, energetic, and convincing that it feels as if she had been part of the project from the very beginning. It is a powerful reminder of how a single moment of chance and bad luck can forever alter the creation of a cinematic classic. Despite the chaos, the constant danger, and the personal tensions that plague the set, the production of Amadeus was also a brilliant testament to the incredible and almost inhuman level of dedication and artistry of its cast. The actors, led by a young and fiercely committed Tom Hulce, devoted themselves to their roles to a degree that is almost inconceivable in the movie-making of today. When Tom Hulce was cast as Mozart, he faced a colossal and seemingly insurmountable challenge. He did not know how to play the piano. He was a talented guitar player, but the keyboard was a completely new territory for him. Miloš Forman, being pragmatic, offered to use the usual Hollywood tricks, clever camera angles, inserts of a professional double's hands, etc. But Hulce flatly refused. He was determined for the performance to look and feel completely real and authentic. For 6 months leading up to and throughout the entire shoot, Hulce subjected himself to a grueling practice regimen, playing the piano for 4 to 6 hours, every single day without fail. He immersed himself in the study of the complex and virtuosic Mozart pieces featured in the film, working tirelessly with musical advisors to master not only the notes, but the body language, the passion, and the extravagant flourish of a keyboard genius. His dedication was so extreme that he even learned to play a tune while lying on his back, an astonishing feat that he performs himself, without tricks, on camera. But this is where the story goes from impressive to truly mind-blowing. Hulce's dedication paid off so spectacularly perfectly that music professors and musicologists later studied the film frame by frame. Their unanimous conclusion was astonishing and historic. Not a single key is struck incorrectly in any of the scenes when compared to the music being heard on the soundtrack. Every time we see Mozart's hands on the piano in the film, what we are seeing is perfectly and millimeter-perfectly synchronized with what we are hearing. But it's not just Hulce. F. Murray Abraham also learned to conduct an orchestra and play Salieri's pieces on the piano for his role. It is a level of authenticity and commitment to the craft that is simply unprecedented. And it stands as the ultimate tribute to both the incredible dedication of the actors and the immortal genius of the man they were portraying. From the genuine real-life rivalry and the whiskey-fueled maniacal laughs to the death-defying pyrotechnics in a 200-year-old wooden theater, the story behind the making of Amadeus is as rich, complex, and dramatic as a Mozart symphony itself. The film is an eternal testament to what can happen when a director with an uncompromising and obsessive vision refuses to compromise, pushing his cast and crew to the very edge of their capabilities. It is a film made with a dangerous, almost maniacal passion for authenticity. In the end, Amadeus is not a masterpiece just because of its brilliant script, its magnificent and eternal music, or its lavish, award-winning production design. It is a masterpiece because the chaos, the struggle, the danger, and the genuine passion of its creation are indelibly etched into the celluloid. The real tension between the actors gave their on-screen rivalry a weight and truth that acting alone could never achieve. The real danger of the candles gave the opera scenes a flickering, warm beauty that is unattainable with cold electric light. And the real dedication of the actors to their craft gave the musical performances a truth that defies belief. The film is a rare and powerful example of when art not only imitates life, but violently merges with it, creating an echo of truth that resonates with an unbreakable force nearly 40 years later.